right, Wade, it's 7:30. I'll hit the record button and you're welcome to start.
Okay, great. Thanks, Christy. Good evening, everybody out there in cyber world. This is the January 25th, 2022 meeting of the Village of Chagrin Falls Board of Zoning Appeals. My name is Wade Frick. I am the chairman, at least I was last year. We're voting, electing a new one today. But I am the chairman from last year of the BZA. I guess the good news is we've done this before through the able assistance of Christy Holmes and Rob and everyone else. We have had virtual meetings for the better part of, I guess, almost 2 years. We got back into live meetings and now we're back virtual. So we have lots of experience doing this. I assure you we'll run our meetings just the same as we always have. We will make sure that everyone has ample time to fiddle with any internet or other issues, and we want to make sure everyone who's with us tonight is heard. We do record our meetings, so forgive the. I always say we try and run an informal, formal meeting, so we will maintain those formalities as we always do, but make sure that everyone gets a chance to speak. We have a few administrative issues to go over first before we launch into our agenda. The first one, and I note for the record, as well as anyone who perhaps can't see, there are 4 members of the board with us tonight. We normally have 5. I mention that because there are 2 applicants, that of Allison Clark and Kristen Lepresti. By our code says a quorum is 3. So we have a quorum, but you also need to have at least 3 people support your application for it to be approved. So we always mention this at the outset because it's we couldn't help Rachel not being here tonight. So you obviously need to get 3 of 4 as opposed to 3 of 5. So if either of the applicants in the next few minutes while we're doing some other business want to rethink or choose to seek a continuance of their matter until you get a full board, you're welcome to do so. It's your choice. You're welcome to proceed with the 4 of us that are here, or you are welcome to try again next month. And unfortunately, I can't promise we'll have all 5 then, but we've had a pretty good record of doing so. Also would like to welcome a new board member, Brian Drum. Brian is a new member of council and will be joining us as the council representative to BZA. So welcome to Brian. We look forward to his involvement with us. So all those things being said, first thing for us to handle internally is election of chair and secretary. We'll start with chairman. Is there a nomination? We need a motion, a second, and then we'll vote. And if there are multiple ones, we can deal with that as well.
I nominate Wade Frick.
Second.
I will remember you, Lisa.
I knew you would.
All right, Rob, could you call roll then?
Sure. Drum.
Aye.
Frick.
Aye, I guess. Thank you.
Waldron.
I vote aye.
Kramer.
Aye.
Lisa, you should have voted nay, but okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate the confidence or the just that no one else wants to do it. So thank you for that. Nomination then for secretary. Do we have a motion for a secretary?
I nominate Rachel Freshman Johnson.
Second,
Second.
Jim. Okay, roll, please, Rob.
Frick.
Aye.
Waldron.
Aye.
Kramer.
Aye.
Drum.
Aye.
Okay, well, thank you. So it looks like we'll have the same chair and secretary we've had for the last few years. So thank you to everyone for your votes and motions. Item number 2, draft minutes from our meeting held November 23rd. I received these and made multiple typo changes or tweaks. I think, Dale, you did. I believe these were sent to the rest of the board, did anybody, and Brian, you obviously weren't a participant in that meeting. Lisa or Jim, did you have any other suggested changes that you want to put on the record tonight, or have you had, or are we good?
I think we're good. I didn't see anything in addition.
Okay, Jim, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, so a motion to approve the minutes from the November 23rd, 2021 BZA meeting.
So move.
Thank you, Lisa.
Second.
Second to Jim. Okay, roll please, Rob.
Holdren,
Aye.
Kramer,
Aye.
Drum,
Aye.
Frick.
Aye. Okay, so all that being said, we move now to, we have two applications before us. There was a third if you received a previous agenda. The application of, we have an ABR appeal that has been continued at the request of the applicant or the appellant until next month's meeting. So we're up to our first application. What we'll do in these, if you haven't been before us, is I will ask Rob to give us a preliminary background on kind of what the issues are and why we're here, what we're hearing. We will then ask the applicants to make a presentation. You can talk about, whatever you'd like to talk about. The board will ask questions throughout that process. And then once we're through with that, we'll turn it open to the audience for people who would like to speak. I usually ask for anyone who wants to speak in favor of the application or in support of it. And then secondly, anyone who would like to speak in opposition. We'll go through that process. I think, Mr. Law Director, do you want to swear witnesses in first? Do you want Rob to give his background first?
He should give the background first.
Okay, so Rob, why don't you, the first application is that of Allison Clark, 50 East Summit Street. Rob, if you could give us the background, and then we'll get to the swearing in.
Thank you, Wade. This is the application of Miss Allison Clark, 50 East Summit Street, permanent parcel number 931-13-005 in the R160 zoning district. She is proposing to build an addition to the house located at that property. The addition will extend into the rear yard. So section 1125-03H of our area yard and height regulations of main buildings requires a minimum rear yard setback of 40 feet from the rear property line going to the structure. The proposed addition to the rear of this house will extend 5 feet into the setback. So a variance of 5 feet would be required. The second variance for this project request is to section 1145-02B, non-conforming buildings and structures for additions, which states that a non-conforming dwelling may be altered, modernized, or enlarged, provided that the alteration and enlargements conform to all of the yard regulations and setbacks. So the existing house is non-conforming and that it does not meet the required 35-foot front yard setback, the 60-foot minimum lot width, and the 120-foot lot depth. So the existing house is non-conforming. The proposed addition and enlargement do not meet the rear yard setback. So they would also need a variance to this code section as well. And I've got the project plans up, and we can scroll through as needed.
Great, thanks, Rob. Mr. Law Director, can you do the swearing in of witnesses, please?
Yeah, I'm not sure who's testifying for the applicant on this one.
Christy, remind me, do we raise hands? How do we solicit the feedback?
Yes, if any of the members of the audience would like to speak or respond to your question, they use the raise your hand function in the Zoom platform.
Is it, I
And
see
And I can
Allison Clark
identify
is
them and
here.
move them into the meeting.
And we'll be starting with those who are speaking about or on behalf of the application. We'll get to the audience. We'll get to the community members a little while. So this will just be the applicants representatives.
Thank you. Allison Clark is coming into the meeting.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, we'll start with Allison, who is muted at this time, apparently.
We lost her.
Hold on, I came back.
No, she's here. It does take time.
Yeah, okay.
There you go.
There-
Okay,
hello,
Allison,
everybody.
can you
Hi.
raise your right hand for me?
Yes, sir.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give to the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, Allison, the floor is yours.
Well, it's going to be me solo, so I'm hoping I'm able to answer your question. My sweet architect, Richard, struggles with technology, has been panicking for the last 20 minutes, and I was trying to talk him through it, and I was not able. So what we're trying to do here is put on an addition on the back, and I'm sure all of you know Summit Street. All of our neighbors have these on their back. The difference for us is it wasn't on the preliminary plans from the ARB, but what we'd like to do, because we do absolutely adore our neighbors and they've had this very private deck in their backyard. So we will only be doing a two-sided one, and we'd like to extend the siding so that that maintains our neighbors' privacy on the one side. And then we have a vacant lot on the other side. And then for us, it's also just a nice convenience, because we moved into the house, we thought we could put the washer and the dryer in the garage, and there was not a safe way to do that. So this would also allow us to essentially live on the bottom, have a master bedroom and the laundry and everything there, and the second floor, and then the third floor would just kind of be for kids and guests. So this is the basic, plan of what we're doing. The only difference is that the one side would be closed, so that our neighbors would have the same experience that they have now, which is not really seeing anyone in the backyard.
So this is, Allison, just an add-on to the back of the house?
Yes.
Just as you see, everything that's sort of on the stilts would be added on to?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So there'll be sliders just on that first level, and on the second level, we would just be bumping that level out so that we could create enough room for a bedroom and a bathroom and laundry on that floor. And then we don't plan to do anything under the bottom. Maybe some landscaping just so our neighbors don't have to look at the ugly stilts, but we'll have to figure that out once we can see how much the hill can take.
And it looks like this addition is 14 feet out from the house. Is that correct?
Yeah.
How did you arrive, or how did your architect arrive at 14 feet as opposed to 12 or 10? Or, do you know?
I don't, and I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that, but if it has to be adjusted, that wouldn't be the end of the world to us. We just need enough room. So currently on that lower level that's open, not the, if you look back up to the photo, that lower level that's open, those rooms there are very narrow, because those actually used to be a screened-in porch years ago. So it's very narrow, so it doesn't accommodate a bed. So I think he was putting on enough so that we could fit in a king bed and two nightstands essentially in the one
Gotcha.
bedroom. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. Other questions of the board?
Has the ARB reviewed these plans?
Yes, they have reviewed the plan that was for a three-sided deck in the preliminary plan, and it was approved pending the variance board. And then we just have to go back to them, because I didn't communicate that properly with Richard, that I wanted to make sure that we had that privacy for our neighbors.
I'm trying to understand which side is and what's it going to look like?
Okay, so if you that picture right, that side where the arrow is, that is exactly what the neighbors would see is exactly what they see now, which would just be siding. And then we would have a wall where that opening is that we could then put, shiplap or porcelain, tile or something on it as a feature wall for us. But for them, for our neighbors, would be better, because they're looking at the exact same thing they're looking at now, which is just the side of our house.
So one wall of the addition would become just for them, it would be a siding wall.
Yeah. So we love our neighbors. So we just didn't want them to have to look at us sitting out there. because they've had this private view for, 20 years. So
I just wonder if that would impact the ARB or if they'd had some other suggestions for you if you went back to them. That's why I wondered whether it mattered that they didn't know about that when they.
Richard didn't seem to think so, but we have to go back
Okay.
to the final approval anyway. So
Yeah, okay.
and the final approval always, hinges on whether the variance works.
Sure.
Bob, do you have an aerial shot that shows how far the 14 feet comes out relative to the neighbor to the east?
I could get one if you just give me a moment.
I know we did a bunch. Yeah, I know we did a bunch of drone photos.
I do not have those, but I'm going to bring up a map to you. So
Allison, can you just speak to it? Is the 14 feet in line with your neighbor's house, or is their house closer to the street?
No, our house they were built by the same people. So they pretty much mimic each other.
And with your 14 feet, will your 14 feet come out where they don't have 14 feet, or are they added to the back of theirs?
We're pretty close. It would be maybe I'm just eyeballing it from here, but I'm thinking it would probably be like maybe a foot longer than where they are. Because right now where our house ends is before where their back porch begins, if that makes sense.
it's a little hard to see.
Yeah, so you can see there actually, see how their house is longer than ours.
Right.
Because they have a back porch and we don't have a back porch. So it kind of will be pretty even with them. I can, get those measurements to you if you need them. Richard probably has them, but he's not here to.
Right. Can you, Rob, can you zoom in a little bit more?
That's as close as I can zoom it. But I'm going to try the, see, it zooms to street level. I'm going to try the county site as well here for a second. So give me a.
Well, while you're looking, does anybody else have any questions from the board for Allison?
Well, I have a question for Rob. I know they're requesting variance for their rear yard setback, but is there also a variance for the lot coverage? You might have said that. I didn't hear.
No, we looked at lot coverage and I think we're okay with that.
Okay.
Okay, so and you said behind their house, do they have a porch or a deck or?
Yeah, they have 3 levels. They have a lower deck on the bottom. They have their house extends on that, medium floor. And then on their top floor, they have an open porch with glass railings. It's very pretty. It's a great house.
Okay.
Yeah, Wade, if you look, there's a site plan. I don't know if Rob can pull it up, but if you look at the site plan, I'm not sure.
Yeah, let me get to the other view here.
I'm not sure who drew it, but it does show that their house extends further than 50 Summit, but with the new addition, looks like the new addition will extend a little bit further, but they're pretty comparable.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
So you're adding a master bedroom on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we would have, right now, there's no room big enough for for a king bed down there.
Mhm.
And we're both tall people.
Mhm.
So we would do a master bedroom, bath and laundry on that floor. Because right now the laundry is in the sub basement, which is actually like, 1 flight, 2 flight, and then another flight down to the basement. It's it's like a tall,
Right, like a row house.
yeah, it is.
Any other questions from the board? Okay, Christy, do you want to open it up for audience participation? Please. Rob, while that's happening, were there any letters or anything that we received?
No feedback.
And Wade, would you care to identify whether it's someone speaking for or against the project?
Well, we typically start would like to speak for it. If we get out of order, that's fine. But I guess we can start with anyone in the audience who would like to speak in support of the application. Let's please raise your hand and be identified, and we can let you in. And Christy, we'll give it a minute or two just to make sure people aren't having challenges.
Sure. No problem.
Anybody
No,
identified?
no hands? Nope.
Okay, we'll make again one more request. If anybody is out there who's listening, who's joined us, who would like to speak on behalf of the application in support of it, Christy, could you remind people how to raise their hand or what they need to do?
Sure. In the Zoom platform, there's a button on your screen that says raise hand. And if you simply click that, a hand will appear next to your name on the attendee list that I see, and it identifies you as someone who'd like to speak. Again, the raise your hand function is in the lower bar of your Zoom application.
All right, Christy, anything?
Nothing.
Okay, well, we'll invite anybody if you've been patiently waiting and you'd like to speak either neutrally or perhaps in opposition to the application, please identify yourself and we'll let you in.
No hands raised, but I just had someone attend RSGAIA.
Oh,
Is
that
that
would be,
perhaps the architect?
yes, he finally,
I just,
got
I
it.
just, I got Richard in. If you guys you want to hear from him or not.
I think it's fine. If you need to, if you have questions for him, that's fine.
Does anybody have any questions?
I do not.
Yeah. I'm fine as well. I think we understand the project.
No
Okay.
hands have been raised, so I think we're clear to
No
move
hands?
forward.
Okay, what
No.
we do now is I'm sorry? We're good? Okay, what we'll do now is I'll ask for a motion to be made in the affirmative in support of the application, and then we'll vote yes or no to that. So is there someone who would like to make a motion on this?
I'll do that.
Okay, Lisa, thank you.
So I move that we approve the motion or approve of the request for variance to section 1125.03 and 1145.03H and 1145.02B with respect to 50 East Summit Street, with respect to the addition of an addition to the rear of the house with respect to that property. The new addition is a 5-foot encroachment into the rear yard setback. There's already an existing non-conforming footprint for this property. The total square footage of the addition is 392 square feet. The applicant is making sure of the structuring the project so that there's a minimal impact on the existing neighbor. With respect to the impact under the Duncan factors, the property would yield a reasonable return without this addition, although it is an enhancement to the house. I think the variance is somewhat substantial. I think the other factors outweigh it. However, the essential character of the neighborhood is not going to be altered. It's actually going to be meeting sort of the footprint of the house next door with this addition. The variance does not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The owner did not purchase the property knowing that there was a zoning restriction with respect to this addition. There's no other means by which to add an additional bedroom on the footprint that they're looking at. The spirit and intent of the zoning code is met by virtue of this project, and the circumstances are not those that are self-created by the applicant. There's no unnecessary hardship that would result other than not having the ability to build this project. And I think it could be used for the intended purposes. However, based on the impact on the neighborhood and the small footprint of the addition and the fact that it's in keeping with the other properties on the street, I think the Duncan factors would mitigate in favor of approval of this variance.
All right, Lisa,
Second.
thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Jim Holdren, second, thank you. Roll, Rob, please.
Kramer,
Aye.
Drum,
Aye.
Frick,
I would vote aye for all the reasons of the motion. I also note that this is East Summit Street that has some very unique properties on it. So I think this fits in wonderfully with the neighborhood, and I support it and vote aye.
and Holdren.
Yeah, I vote aye for the reasons stated. I think it's a pretty modest addition, and it's yeah, like as Wade said, it just fits in with the neighborhood up there.
Okay, so the motion is passed 4-0. What this means, Allison or whoever else is out there listening, is council has 15 days within which 3 members of council can seek to appeal a decision of ours and actually have a new hearing on it. I never make predictions, but generally a 4-0 vote one would think it would be unlikely to be an appeal to council. But what all that means is you have to wait for 15 days to come and pass. If there's been no appeal made by members of council, you'll hear as quickly as close to 15 days as possible from Rob indicating no appeal's been taken and you're good to go. So basically you've got 15 days to wait before this is finalized. And we wish you good luck.
Oh, thank you. We'll need it because I think once we get the quote for this project, it's going to be a killer.
Well,
Those are going to be
Good
some
luck.
pretty, those are going to be some
unfortunately, we
big,
can't help you with that part.
yeah, I know. Those are going to be some pretty big footers down there. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Good luck.
yeah.
Best of
Thank you
luck.
very much.
good luck.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Okay, next up is the application of Kristen Lopresti, 251 North Street. Rob, if you could give us the background on this one, please.
Give me 1 second. Okay. This is the application of Ms. Kristen Lopresti, 251 North Street, permanent parcel number 931-06-008, located in the R150 zoning district. She is proposing an addition and renovations to the existing residential dwelling, including the addition of a garage in the back of the property. This application requires 3 variances. The first is to section 1125-03F, our area yard and height regulations. The main building requires a 30-foot minimum front yard setback. The proposed front porch extension has a front yard setback of 15 feet. So a variance of 15 feet would be required for the front porch extension. The next variance request is to section 1125-04B4, area yard and height regulations for accessory buildings and structures pertaining to driveways, which requires that each driveway on one lot shall maintain a minimum distance of 6 feet from a driveway on an adjoining lot and 2 feet from any other adjoining lot line. The proposed driveway leading to the new detached garage in the rear yard has a range of 3.5 feet to 5 feet in distance to the driveway of the neighbor's property. So we go to the shortest distance of 3.5 feet. So a variance of 2.5 feet would be required. Then the third and final variance request would be to our all favorite 1145-02B, non-conforming buildings and structures for additions, stating that a non-conforming dwelling may be altered, modernized, or enlarged, provided that the alterations and enlargements conform to all of the yard regulations and setbacks. So the existing dwelling is non-conforming as it does not meet the minimum front yard setback of 30 foot, and it does not meet the minimum lot size of 6,000 feet. So a variance would be required to this section. This project came before the ABR on January 4th. They voted to revise and resubmit. Their comments were focused on requiring some more information on the grading and elevations and the drainage for this property. So that's an overview of what we have here. And I do have an aerial shot if you need to see it as well.
Okay. Dale, Mr. Law Director, do you want to swear in, please?
Sure. Who's going to speak first? Is Becky, are you talking about this? Okay.
Becky Pantuso is becoming a panelist.
Oh, might help if I am here.
I see you. Okay. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give to the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Becky, the floor is yours.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so as I think this is actually a good thing. We are, as you can see from the drawing that's on the screen, taking down a garage. If you've been down North Street, I'm sure you know it's the front facing. It's 9.5 feet away from the property line. We're going to take that down. Visually, I think is a great improvement, and put that into the backyard as a detached garage. In doing that, who'd have thought we have 3 variants in making the situation better. So we aren't, we're certainly not going forward of the garage, the existing garage, but we're not going forward of the existing porch line as far as front yard setbacks go. In terms of the driveway, it's unfortunate that my neighbor, gets to put her driveway a foot away from the property line, and I have to come here and talk to you guys about being able to put it 3 feet away, but it is what it is. And we are under lot coverage. So I think all of those are reasonable hardships and soft requests. But the ARB, and I don't know, Rob, if how this plays into it. I know when we submit for ARB, we want to submit the same thing for BZA so that they can see those comments. So we still have to go back to the ARB for our revise and resubmit. And just a very quick, they wanted more information on the drainage. They were hung up on the dormer. We submitted it once as a shed dormer, and that was, I believe, looked favorably upon by the non-voting members of the board. And then we went back with a gable dormer that was suggested by the voting members of the ARB, and that too was not looked upon favorably. So we're actually going back for our 3rd iteration to ARB, but I don't know. I have high hopes that they'll like this option. But none of that matters until you guys give us the blessing to move forward.
Becky, I'm sorry, the dormers you're talking about, are the gables, or where on this drawing?
Yeah, if you look, it right there, that center dormer, and because the whole house is in the front yard setback,
Right.
Already that becomes part of the equation.
Right.
And it's the hardest design challenge of this project, just because if you can even see from that drawing, it's just a little left of center, and that's because that's the existing stairwell. We can't, I can't center that thing perfectly. So at any rate, that was, Rob can correct me, or Dominic can correct me if I'm wrong, the comments or the evolution of the ARB.
Tell me again I thought I heard you say the front porch is not coming out further than what it is now?
Correct. So if you go to, and I don't know if I can.
But it's getting wider, correct? It's going wider.
It actually isn't, Rob. In our next iteration, for ARB, and I can share my screen if you want, but however you want to do it. If you look there though, you can see that, that last page you were on, Rob. No, the one that you did after that. Sorry. There you go. See that dashed blue line just to the left of the front door?
Yes.
That,
okay.
yeah, right there. That comes out and then goes to the left and connects to the blue lines of the garage that you can see, or goes to the right. I'm sorry. Dyslexic moment. See the garage there to the right? Must need to pull the screen up just a little bit.
It's the current attached garage.
It doesn't, yeah, you can see it up there, right? So we were asking, because it's a cape, to do a porch across the front of it, because we can't get past this dormer issue. We're proposing changing the overall look and would just have a front porch on the right half of that. So I think for this board and for the sake of this approval process, what's important is we're not extending the porch any closer to the street.
Right. I was going to say, I mean, maybe to Rob, I mean, that the center dormer is not an issue for us at all, is it?
No, it would not be. No, because it's over an existing footprint. I mean, I was under the impression that the front porch was being extended. That's the way it was.
Do we
originally.
have one less variance to deal with then?
Yeah, I'm verifying.
I thought if it's, so the dormer is actually in the front yard setback, I thought, because it was an existing non-conforming structure that we had to get that cleaned up as well.
That would just fall under the non-conforming.
Right, that wouldn't be
That wouldn't fall under front yard encroachment.
And it sits back further from the area that we're looking at, we're being asked to look at for the front porch, right? For the
Correct.
Extension.
Correct. So in
okay, go ahead.
So in this iteration, and just to try to be more clear about it, I'm sorry. In this iteration, we were extending the porch to the left, not forward or toward the street, but we were extending it to the left. It turns out in the evolution of this design, we're not even asking for that. We're literally just asking, when we tear down this garage, there's going to be a corner of that porch that's unsupported that we need to be able to stabilize. And in tearing down the garage, I'm going to have to do something to deal with the existing porch to hold that up. And yeah, go ahead.
Would it be, I'm sorry, would it be possible to go to the street view drawing that you had, Rob, sort of visual, as opposed to the aerial view? Can we go?
Yep, hold on.
It would at least be easier for me to visualize what Becky's saying if we could look at the house from sort of street level, or the drawing.
Do you see the
Yeah.
No, you had drawings that were there that were street level, looking at the house directly, as if you were standing on the street.
yeah, hold on, let me get to that too.
This is a good, oh, sorry.
Yeah, Rob, you want the front elevation.
Yeah, I got the hold on. This was one of the documents we had. So is this the property?
Yep, that's it. So you can see that single car garage, very forward facing. We're going to take that off, and at that connection right there, you don't have anything supporting that porch. So we're asking to support that. In doing it, we're going to cosmetically improve it, but not extend it, closer to the street.
Or to the left, you're saying it would just stay in its.
Yeah, or to the left. And yep.
Okay.
So then we really are back to two variances.
Yes, because the original plan showed the
Had it going, yeah, I gotcha.
expansion of the porch across the front yard, which would be, even though other parts of the building extend into that, you would need a variance for
Sure.
extending the porch
Sure.
all the way across. But because they're not doing that now, which I wasn't aware of. prior
I
till now.
still, yeah, sorry,
Hold
Rob.
on, Hold
but-
on, please.
Yep.
So I would like to, all you would need was the modification variance to a non-conforming to shore up that one corner once you remove the garage. So that would be what you would need for the front yard.
And even if we, okay, so it's a modification. Yeah, sorry, I keep getting that one confused, but my understanding is if I do anything to like change that porch, I need to get a variance to allow that change to happen.
Well, if you're changing the footprint.
Not forward. Just like, say I'm putting a peak over the door. Does that,
That would be under, I don't know. We'll have to.
to me, I feel like I should ask for this front yard variance just to make sure that we're covered. And if we don't need it, great, but I don't want to find out later that, there's
No,
there's
that's
some
fine.
reason.
Let's keep going and we will do that. And if it becomes a problem, we'll figure out, how to handle it. But I agree, it would be better for you if the board approves a variance for whatever modifications you need while recognizing the footprint is not moving. We can throw that in as extra if we need to. I guess it looks to me like the garage really needs to sit as far to the north, I think that is, as possible, because it looks like from your drawing, you've got a very tight two-car garage. That's a very tight corner, right? I mean, you want to drive as straight up the driveway as possible, I assume. If you start moving that garage in towards the middle of your yard, you're going to have a problem getting around the corner of the house, won't you?
I will, and Wade, I actually contemplated asking for that variance as well, because it would certainly alleviate the, navigating into this garage, but
Right.
because we already had 3 variances and I don't particularly like to ask for any, that garage is compliant, there's
Right.
there's no extra ask or special request.
Right. And I guess it gets to the driveway issue as well, because if you bring the driveway in, you're going to be, I don't know if you have enough room to get around the house.
Could you
Is
say
that-
that again, Wade? I'm sorry.
One of the issues we're looking at is the proximity of the driveway to the property line. And I understand your neighbors is right on it, or the neighbors is literally a foot on, I think you said. But even if one were to say, well, you can just move the driveway further off the line to not need a variance request, it looks like you don't have the room to do that.
That's correct, because instead of 3 foot, I would have to have 5 foot at the front, right at the apron, is where her driveway is closest to mine. So my understanding is we need to have 6 feet apart of the driveways, because theirs is 1 foot away from the property line. I would have to be 5 feet away from my property line. And I think that starts to get into changing the curb cut and doing a number of things that doesn't seem reasonable.
Well,
So
if this drawing is to scale, it looks like that left bay of the garage would be impossible to get into. Or virtually impossible if you had to move the driveway.
Yeah, so I don't know whether you're talking about the driveway being close to the right yard property line or something else.
Yes, I guess I'm just asking, or I'm verifying that it looks like you've done all you can do with the driveway. The driveway can't move itself any further to the left away from the property line, your neighbor's property line, because they're just, once you get to the point where the cars are shown in the diagram, I don't know how you'd even maneuver into the left bay.
You mean if I pulled that in 5 feet at the
Yes.
garage? Yeah.
If we said no
Yeah.
variance, I don't know how you'd even have a driveway.
No,
a functioning driveway.
It's not possible. I mean, even as is, it's difficult, but I was fixating on the front and you're talking about the back. Sorry about that.
Right. Yeah,
But-
no, my bad.
That's exactly right.
So wait, I can share a street view from Google Maps if you like. That'll give you.
Sure, that'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the front of the house. You can see the existing porch, existing garage.
Mhm.
Kind of get a good idea here of the tight proximity between the two driveways.
Right.
Wow.
And based on what we just looked at on the last view, the property line is probably very close here. I'm not sure what that pink stake is, if that's the line or not, but it does show this little bump out of the driveway on the original plans, and that's about a foot off of that. So that could be very well right along the line.
Mm-hmm.
Becky, looking at that view, would the north side of the driveway be the same in the existing, the way it is now? Would that be the same?
Yeah, and actually this part of the driveway is why we need that variance. We're not 3 feet away from there, and then compounding it, we're not 6 feet away from our neighbor. Right at that pinch point, it like almost turns into one driveway at the street.
Right.
Pretty current picture there.
Is the big pine tree back there, whose property is that on, Becky? Do you know?
I believe it's on my client's.
And they'll be maneuvering the garage around those trees, or will they have to come out?
I think some of those are gonna have to come out, Wade. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's a very tight area. Okay, other questions from the board? I don't mean to be hogging the questioning here. Anyone else?
So have we decided that we're going to proceed as if there are 3 variances necessary for this project?
Dale, do you see any harm? I mean, if we gave a general, is it a general variance to any reconstruction that might need to happen, assuming or conditioned upon the fact that the porch would not come further than it is now?
Right, you can do it exactly like you said.
Okay.
And that's how we applied for it. So I think, I don't know, that might be the least messy.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from the board of Becky? Becky, I assume you're the only one presenting?
I am.
Okay. Christy, we'll turn to you then. If you could seek anyone from the public who would like to speak, I guess, first in favor or in support of the application.
Sure,
If you could remind everyone of the process.
sure. If you'd like to speak in favor of the application, please raise your hand in the Zoom platform. Again, that raise your hand button is on the lower bar of the Zoom application. No, sir. No hands. Oh,
Okay.
wait, we do have, it looks like the homeowner would like to speak.
Okay.
Just give me a moment.
And when the homeowner is on, if you could let us know, we'll have Dale swear them in.
Sure.
She might be getting on to say she can't park.
She's on.
And
She is on.
and yeah, I didn't bring it up, but her fiance has to park sideways in the grass because there's not enough room to get a car, in front of this garage, which is what's started this snowball of variance requests. So.
Okay, Ms. LaPresti, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give to the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I was going to say exactly what Becky just said as far as our parking situation. We feel bad because when we park a car, whether it's a small car or my normal size SUV or my fiance's truck. It is in the sidewalk, which I'm sure was not there at one point, but it is there now. So we are trying to rectify this because we don't love parking in the grass. It's not a really good look. So that's all I was going to say.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any questions for Kristen? Okay.
I do have one more question for Rob. Sorry, Wade.
Yep, sure.
So if the neighbor's driveway was not there, the owner would just need to be 2 feet away from the property line. Is that correct?
I'm verifying that right now. 2 feet from any adjoining lot line. So if the neighbor's driveway was not there whatsoever, it was all grass, they just need to be 2 foot away from the property line all the way down.
And as it's drawn, it's 3.5 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, 3.5 to 5 because it curves. Let me get back to that. It varies. Also kind of depends because the neighbor's drive tapers inward as well. So there's a small part of it that's in the 3.5 foot separation, and then it goes to 5 foot, which is only a foot away. But because part of it is 3.5, we have to go with the 2.5 foot variance.
Okay. Christy, can you see if there's anybody else who would like to speak first in support of the application, please? We'll finish that.
So Rob, with this 2.5 foot variance, can I put this driveway 2 feet away from the property line?
Can you put it where?
Can I put my driveway 2 feet from the property line? Like every other property?
Well, that wasn't drawn on the plan. So, I mean, you have to, we can't keep, I mean, we can change things after, but we need to see the extent of that. I mean, that is a variance granted from that section based on the plan that was submitted. So if you're going to move the driveway closer to the property line and keep it 3.5 foot from their entire drive all the way down, I mean, technically, I think the variance would cover that, Dale, if you would verify that that would be correct. If the variance is granted for 2.5 foot from the neighbor's drive, that would be considered all the way down, even though the plans don't show that at this time.
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes.
so
Thanks. Just trying to clarify, make sure I understand.
Okay. Christy, is there anybody else waiting to speak in support of the application?
There's not.
Okay, and then how about opening up for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition?
Again, anyone who'd like to speak, just raise your hand in the Zoom platform to be identified. We do have someone, Roseanne Finney. I will be moving you in as a panelist.
Hello?
Hi, Roseanne.
We can't see her, but we can hear
Can't
her.
see you, which I think we need so the law director can swear you in if that's possible.
Yeah, let me just figure out how this works here.
In the
Christy.
lower left-hand corner, there's a start video button. And
There
it
There you
should,
go.
Oh, wait.
here you go.
Our house is a work in progress here too, so don't mind all that.
Okay. Ms. Feeney, can you raise your right hand for me?
Mhm.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you'll give to the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, the floor is yours.
I think we're okay with the plans here. I guess my concern is between the driveways. I'd like there to be some kind of a landscape buffer because with knocking down the pine tree and everything that's over there, it's just going to be, there's going to be like no trees or anything. It's going to be a direct view between the yards. So if there's any way to be able to keep some of the greenery between the houses so that there's some kind of privacy. I guess that's one of my biggest concerns there. And I'm not sure about the size of the garage. I haven't really looked at that. I just want to make sure that that's not like out of scale with the size of the house. But other than that, I like the whole moving the garage in the back. I think it's a great idea. I just want there to still be some kind of privacy.
So Ms. Feeney, I just wanted to make it clear, it sounds like you're the neighbor to the north.
Yes, well, we're going to be 2 houses down and we're considering purchasing the house next door, which is why I'm asking about it.
Okay, so you're 2 houses down. This house shows as Judith Mildy.
Right.
Trustee. So that's the house and you're one more house to the north of that.
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so question about greenery. I assume there's no greenery between in the limited space that's there now, all the way until you get to behind the house. Is that right?
There is some arborvitae there.
Oh, I think I saw, yeah. Rob, actually, could you show that? There's a picture that shows there are some arborvitae I remember seeing there. Right there, yeah. Becky, do you know, do you know what the plans are? Is that all going to have to come down?
I'm still trying to understand, how this affects your 2 doors down?
Well, but we're thinking of buying this house right next door, so it will directly affect us.
But you don't own it now. I'm just trying to understand it. The arborvitae do belong to the Low Prestes, and I think probably they have as much interest in privacy, but I don't know that it's is it reasonable for a neighbor 2 doors down to ask for us to put a fence or arborvitae or whatever request might be being made?
I always asked our law director the questions of reasonableness.
Well, that's not a legal question. It's a question for the board, but certainly somebody who lives 2 doors away has standing to assert that kind of an interest. So it's a point that the board can consider.
Okay.
And if the applicant's not willing to provide the assurances that that neighbor is looking for, you can take that into account.
Wade, this is Christy. I just want to let you know there are 2 people in attendance that have raised their hand since the conversation started.
Okay.
Am I okay to move them in?
Yeah, well, that's fine. I guess, do we have any other questions for Ms. Feeney based on what she said? So we're talking about, well, it looks like the arborvitae are directly in line with the house immediately to the north. And then there appears to be some greenery, and then there are 2 large, I think those are 2 separate trees behind in the backyard. Is that accurate? What that line of greenery looks like? Okay. So are there questions of Ms. Feeney before we go to other people? Any other questions? Ms. Feeney?
No. Those are my only concerns.
Okay. And does anybody in the board have any questions for Ms. Feeney?
No.
Okay. Jim, are you okay?
Yeah, okay.
Brian, any other questions, comments at this point?
No questions right now. Thank you.
Okay, so then let's go to the additional people there. I see there's 3 chat items. Christy, let's just take one at a time. Is there just one person out there? Susan M?
Susan M and then the homeowner once again.
Okay.
So I'll bring in Susan M so she can get sworn in.
Okay, Susan
And
M,
then-
and we'll turn her over then to Dale for swearing in.
Okay, Susan, would you raise your right hand for me? Do you swear that the testimony you'll give to the Board of Zoning Appeals will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yep.
Okay, Susan, thanks for joining us. You're welcome to go ahead, please.
I just wanted to say, because you were raising the question of whether it's moot for Roseanne to be asking about the property, but it's not news to us that we're thinking about selling the house to her. So we have had conversations about this. So there's sort of a direct concern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have similar concerns or opinions about the greenery?
I mean, if we were staying, it would be nice to have privacy. I know, like, right now, between the Feeneys and us and Kristen's decks, they're all sort of offset. So there's a little bit of privacy when people are outside and stuff. I mean, if it were me, it would be nice to keep something that keeps some of the privacy, but I would assume Kristen would feel the same way, I mean, so but it's, as I say, we've been already talking with the Feeneys, so it's not going to be us, it's going to be them. So, and it's, yeah, I just wanted to say that because there was a question of why is the neighbor 2 doors down asking about this? Well, they're likely going to be there. So.
Okay, no, we appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for chiming in.
You're welcome. But I like the, we have no objections to the driveway. We didn't put our driveway there on purpose, Kristen. No, we didn't ask to have our driveway that close, but if it were us, I got no objections to having that.
Well, that was part of my question was with the objection to the trees, which there are the Arb Reviewed or mine, which I would love privacy. And if we get the variance, if there is room, I would love to put something back. In the back, the big trees, there are 2 rows. Closest to my house is my row, closest to Susan's is hers. So there still will be trees in the backyard, just not the arborvitae. But then my question is, when we're talking about this, since their driveway is close to my property line, if we had the variance, I could potentially put privacy back there, but I would obviously need room to do so. So, but there will still be trees in the backyard, and I definitely want privacy as well.
Okay.
And again, it's gonna be the Feeney. So whatever Roseanne says, I want everybody to be happy.
Can I buy some property from you right there? Just a little bit of
Right?
driveway? Just a little driveway. That's all
Like
we need.
maybe that'd be delightful.
I personally think it's been an advantage. Like, we were very happy to help Matthew out when he was able to park his truck more on our side, and we're happy to have offered when Kristen has parties and people need a place to park. And we the Feeneys do a dance with their cars, and like the people across the street have conjoined driveways, and it's a huge advantage when one is shoveled and somebody can get out. So I personally think it's a sort of a bonus to have your driveways where you can share a little bit, so. But
Well, and one more
my
thing.
only thought about privacy is that the garage looks, there would be a little less privacy in the backyard. If there are no trees or anything, there's going to be, but again, we won't.
There still would be your trees back there.
Yeah,
And-
no, it sounds wonderful, and we're moving to a more urban place where there will be even less. So how would we say anything about it?
Well, and just so the board knows, that pink pin right there, that is the property line. So
Okay.
Perhaps the greatest sympathy should be expressed right now to the person who's gonna be typing these notes to try and figure out who was just talking and that back and forth. But thank you. That was, we understand and appreciate everyone weighing in as you did.
All right, thank you.
Sure, thank you. Other questions from the board of anybody who's on the phone with us or online with us? And I guess, Dale, to you, I mean, we have, I guess it's up to us whether we want to include some kind of greenery provision. I believe we've done this in the past, but any thoughts that you might have would be appreciated on those kind of conditions.
Well, because the greenery exists now, and they want to change the conditions, you have the authority to impose some kind of requirement for a buffer there. If you so choose, you may decide it's not necessary to protect the neighbors.
All right. Okay, I will leave that to our motion person, whether that's necessary or not. Yes, let's proceed to motion and we'll go from there. So is there someone who would like to prepare a motion on this?
Not it.
Who was that who just
Yeah.
said not it?
Yeah. I'll go ahead and do the motion.
It preferably needs to be someone on the board. So if the not it was somebody else, that was, yeah. So yeah, Jim, please go ahead.
All right. I would like to make a motion to grant variances to, I don't have the address. I think it's 251.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, 251 North Street, to sections 112503F, which is the front yard setback. Our code says 30 feet from the front yard, and they're requesting a 15-foot variance. And section 112504B4, that has to do with driveways. According to our code, the driveway must be at least 2 feet from the property line and 6 feet from any other structure, including the neighbor's existing driveway. And as proposed, the new driveway would be 3.5 feet from the property line. Actually, no. I think it'd be 2.5 feet from the property line. Therefore, they would need a 2.5 foot variance. Maybe it is 3.5 feet. Rob?
You're talking to 112504B 4.
Yeah, as drawn, or is it
What do they
3.5
need for the
feet?
Variance
driveway?
of 2.5 feet would be needed.
Okay, I'll just stick with that. Variance of 2.5 feet. And then also they need a variance to 114502B, and that is a non-conforming structure when altered must become within code, and this will not be, so they need a variance to that section as well. A little more about the front yard setback. The house as it sits is well within the 30-foot setback. It's actually even more than 15 feet because of the existing attached garage. So the applicant is proposing to remove that garage and bring the front yard setback actually back about 8 feet, it looks like. And so I think this would be improving the nonconformity.
Jim, can we also include in the motion, and if you just said I missed it, forgive me, but the point about any alteration that needs to be done to the front porch once the garage is moved, right? We just to be overly cautious, we said if there's something needs to be done that does not change the footprint but needs to be done in terms of reinforcing the structure, that we would cover that in the motion as well.
Yeah, so correct. So they were given a variant. If this variance is passed, it would be the 15-foot variance and as proposed. So the porch as it sits now, they're allowed to support it, once they remove the garage, but they can't make the front porch any larger in square footage than it currently sits.
Or in terms of encroachment out.
Yeah, they can't really, they can't change the
Footprint.
footprint of the porch. They can only support it. And then oh yeah, and then also a little more about the driveway, as I think was brought up during the meeting, that if the neighbor's driveway wasn't there, they would not need a variance because they are more than 2 feet away from the property line. So it's just something else to consider. So as far as the Duncan factors, whether the property would yield a reasonable return, I do believe it still would without these variances. I do not believe the variances are substantial. I think overall this is actually an improvement to the nonconformity of the existing house. The essential character of the neighborhood would be altered, or would not be altered. It'd actually be improved again because it'd be removing a garage from the front yard and putting it in the rear. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. the property owner did not purchase the property with the knowledge of the zoning restrictions. And the property owner's predicament cannot be feasibly obviated through any other method without the variance. I think the spirit and intent behind the zoning code would be observed and justice would be done by granting the variance. And lastly, the variance is not based on self-created circumstances by the owner.
And we had a comment related to the need to the extent possible to preserve greenery.
My reaction, Lisa, was I was going to take Jim's motion as it was and make a comment about that. But if you'd like the motion to include that, we can include it. I personally thought the motion should not include it, but we could make a statement to it. So.
I mean, that's fine. I just think it should be acknowledged. And if they have to go back to the ARB anyway, they may have that discussion there.
Okay, is there a second? Jim, are you?
So I would second the motion.
Jim, did you have something else you're about to add?
No, I was just going to say I'd rather not include that with the emotion.
Okay.
With the emotion, but
I agree.
Becky's been saying 15.5.
Yes, thank you. I was going to point out Becky's comments. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna look into that as well. So it looks like on the set that we have in front of us, that the front yard encroachment would be 15.5 feet of variance requested, not 15. I apologize for that error, just to clarify.
oh, that changes everything. All right.
I know.
So restate it from the beginning, Jim. No, I'm just so
We're
just
not
where
sure.
you had said, I believe 15 feet, it's 15.5 feet. Is that correct?
Yes, 15.5 feet.
Okay. So I'd just like to modify the motion to say 15.5 feet for the variance from the front yard setback.
With that modification, I'd second the motion.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Roll.
Okay, Drum,
Aye for all the reasons stated, and I would just add that I believe this relocation of the garage constitutes a functional and aesthetic enhancement to the neighborhood.
Frick,
I would vote aye for the reasons stated and what Brian just added. I don't think we need to include the landscaping as a requirement. To me, it sounds like everyone's working towards the same goal, which is privacy. And I leave it to the neighbors to work this out. I mean, it's a pretty tight area. And part of the reason it's tight is because the neighbor to the north driveway is right on the property line. So I don't think we need to put that in the motion. It's in the record that we, encourage the neighbors to figure it out. It sounds like everybody testified they have a mutual interest in doing so. So I vote aye for the reasons of the motion and to Brian's point.
Holdren,
I vote aye.
and Kramer.
I would vote aye for the reasons stated. I also think that everybody's working towards the same goal, and it's kind of refreshing to hear how in this situation, folks have really worked to accommodate each other with respect to the driveways and the accommodation of each other's needs in inclement weather and things like that. And I think this reshuffling of where the garage is will make that will improve the neighborhood substantially.
Okay, so if you were listening before, or even if you weren't, what happens now is that's a 4-0 vote in favor of the application. Council has, by our ordinances, 15 days during which 3 members of council can petition to rehear this whole matter. Those, I never predict how or when those happen, but it would be very unusual in my experience for a 4-0 decision to get taken to council. But the long and short of it is wait 15 days and you will hear as close thereto as possible from Rob if no appeal's been taken, and your variances will be granted and you'll be good to go. So 15 days is the time you have to wait, and we wish you well, good luck. All right. Is there anything else to come before BZA this evening?
I have nothing.
All right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all very much. We'll see you in about a month.
Congratulations on your chairmanship.
I'm going to update LinkedIn right now.
But remind Rachel that when you don't show up,
You
What
get
happened?
elected.
We're going to tell
Bye.
Rachel she's the chair now. So,
right?
all right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Stay
Thanks.
warm.
Bye, guys.
That would make adjournment at 8:45 PM.
Good. Thanks, Christy.